Hello, this is the last minute revision video for Christianity for the Study of Religion external exam. I'm going to make some assumptions about the knowledge that's already in place for Christianity here, because this video is largely for my students and you've all been going to Christian school for most of your life. So hopefully you've learned something in that time. But what I want to start with is probably the most important facet, which is the incarnation of Jesus. Using Tier 3 language in SOR is what you should be doing, because essentially it's a cheat, because it signposts that you understand what you're talking about, and then the examiner can be like, yep, you're pretty smart, well done. So incarnation is Jesus becoming human. So Jesus is God, is the Son of God, and becomes fully human at the same time. In the Gospel of John it says the Word becomes flesh. That is the Christian evidence for Jesus becoming fully human. The Word becomes flesh. And then, through that incarnation, you have Jesus' actions on earth. You have his miracles and his teachings. And it is those, specifically the teachings, that drive the concept of human rights within Christianity. So Christianity is built upon the Old Testament and the New Testament. We have covenants in the New Covenant. The lights have just gone out. And we have the main teachings of Christ. So let's have a quick squiz at them. Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment was, and he said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, body, soul, strength, and love your neighbour as yourself. These are the greatest commandments. And that's known as the law of love. And he also preached on, it's called the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. Blessed are the peacemakers. I mean, it's right there in black and white. Peacemakers are blessed. Okay. And Jesus preached what has become known by the Catholic Church as the corporal works of mercy, and they are to feed the hungry, to give water to the thirsty, to clothe the naked, to shelter the homeless, and to visit the prisoners. I'm missing one, but you can Google it. Essentially, these are commands from God to act in a certain way. So these have ethical ramifications for Christians who are trying to live their life or make ethical decisions. You are expected to feed the hungry and shelter the homeless. And it goes further. It's got eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth in the Old Testament, and Jesus says, no, that's not true. If someone slaps you on one side of your face, slap them on the other side. He said that has been fulfilled. It's no longer relevant. Love is the most important thing. And he said those who live by the sword shall die by the sword, when one of his disciples decided to get a bit stabby with the Romans. So there are all these implications from Jesus' teachings of how Christians should act within the world ethically. And then you have the whole death and resurrection of Christ. So Jesus' death and his sacrifice is what Christians refer to as essentially their salvation. Jesus took on the wages of sin as death, paid everybody's sin, and then defeated death through the resurrection. All right. I'm making a revision video. Right, where were we? Let's do rituals. Okay, so the exam might give reference to either birth or death rituals. So within Christianity, your birth rituals are baptism, all right, depending upon the tradition of Christianity that the adherent belongs to. And that is essentially welcoming a child into the community of the church. And there is a concept of original sin in Catholicism, so it's also a blessing to wash off original sin. The Baptist Church, for example, and other churches only baptize people when they can make that decision themselves as an adult. That ritual can then be reinforced within Catholicism at First Communion. So that is when a child is deemed old enough to make the decision for themselves and offer their life to Christ. Funerals, honouring the dead, praising Jesus, being thankful for the life that the person has. And essentially, it's all about the dignity of the human person. So in the Old Testament, Genesis 1 verse 27, we are made in the image of God. Okay, and for Christians, the Latin for that is imago Dei, image of God, and that essentially talks about the dignity of the human person. So for Christianity, remember imago Dei and all those teachings of Jesus, because they are all geared towards concepts of human rights from a Christian point of view. And I'll put some links to some other stuff as well. You can ask in the comments if you're a student. If you're just a nutter on the internet, then just jog on.